Hey, it's WookieFanboi, and we're going to be reviewing today one of my very first Crucible matches that I recorded. So this was uh, before I really understood that you could even record video on the PS4. I had just gotten one, perhaps a week or two previously. I played on a 360 before I got the PS4, and I was kind of really wowed by the visual quality that I got at the PS4. So I didn't even realize that it had essentially a gameplay recording function. So this is basically my first one. And looking back at this, reviewing this video, I don't know what I was doing. I'm not going to end up with a very good KD. That's kill to death ratio. But I think I've made some grand improvements since this video was first recorded, and it's good actually to review what I was doing there. I have no idea why I'm using a fusion rifle. I might have been working on a thorn bounty, but I don't think so. If I get a chance to see, I think this is actually a solar damage fusion rifle, and I just really don't like the back in December, in the early December. This is before the Dark Below was released. Fusion rifles were fairly OP. You'll see that a lot of people are actually, and by OP I mean overpowered. See, a lot of these people are actually using fusion rifles because they had a pretty good range and a very focused fire. So the spread was not really terribly wide. And now, of course, since this time, there has been at least one nerf, what they call a nerf, and this basically reduces the effectiveness of the weapon to kind of balance it out with other weapons. Because as you can see, there are a lot of people. I think I saw 3 or 4 people. It was about half and half. People using fusion rifles and shotguns. And that was kind of a very sneaky move there, sneaking up on that guy who's trying to get away. And that's one thing where I just died there, that I just don't do anymore. I just will not enter an area without being aware of the surroundings. And occasionally you're going to get tripped. Somebody's going to be kneeling down, and I've noticed it a lot. This is something I'll talk about later when I start reviewing some video clips that deal with basically exploits. Right, that was a horrible throw. I didn't even have builds back here, but essentially what happens is that there are people who can kneel and actually hide on the radar, where they actually don't appear on the radar, and it has to do with them having a high network latency, or what people call lag. And you'll see there are a couple of folks here on this list, both on my team and on the opposing team, who have red indicators, network indicators. Typically, you'll see that they end up having a pretty high kill-to-death ratio, even if they don't score in the highest, top 3 in their team or for the game itself. What they end up doing is it's very hard to kill people with network latency, because when you're shooting at them, you're not really shooting at their actual location. You're shooting at a non-updated location that you have in your computer, and I'll explain that later. But in any case, I was talking about a bad death from just not being situationally aware. I didn't realize that there was somebody kneeling there, and just kind of ran into an open space without kind of checking my corners. And here's another chance for that as well. This guy, Slick something rather cute. He's one of those folks. Like earlier in the match, you'll see that he kills me. It was a 2 versus 2, and then he ends up dying. But his death never appears on the kill feed. So I'm really curious to know if that's something that's been patched. If it's actually, is the kill feed accurate, or is his death actually being recorded properly? It's something actually to look forward look toward, you know, in my other videos, to actually watch and see if deaths are actually accurately being reflected on kill feeds, and what effect that has on somebody's kill to death ratio. So again, I'm using a fusion rifle pretty badly. I'm barely trading deaths, so this was really new for me. I think I didn't really venture into the Crucible until about October, and I was a day one player. That is to say, from release, not I didn't get into the beta or the alpha. But a day one player for the release, and so this was entirely new to me. I think I'd played on the Halo player versus player maps maybe 2 or 3 times, and it was extremely, what would we say, Slick Agent Q is his name. Right? He kicked me off there. I was weak. But it was extremely disheartening to play on Halo. I think what the way Halo worked was you had to, you know, essentially build rep to get into better maps and
enemy captured Zone B.
Better maps and play you know, game styles. So, you know, King of the Hill or Capture the Flag or whatever. You had to do a lot of this. So I think that actually the first one was what is Rumble in Destiny, which is just 6 players against 6 players. Not 6 players against 6 players. 6 players in an arena, and it's a kill-all deathmatch, right? So that was extremely difficult. So I think basically there were excellent players who just came into those arenas to get easy kills for whatever rewards there were, and they just thought it was a big joke to kind of slap down noobs, even though these were supposed to be limited to, you know, people who had only been playing for so long. So anyway, just that experience turned me off to PvP. I never played PvP again. I think that was Halo 3 until I got to Destiny, and there were these bounties that you had to play PvP on. You know, why I have a fusion rifle in hand with that kind of range, I have no idea. I should have had whatever. I think it was a scout rifle, and I wasn't very confident in scout rifles. So you see here that this guy, I think it's Snapper Fi or something like that. He's trading first place on his team a lot, and he's a red, what we call a red bar in Destiny, but he has a high network latency. He's very laggy, and so he's able to escape deaths because people can't see where to shoot. They can't shoot at him accurately. He was able to, you know, actually get, let's say, you know, aim a headshot with a rare hand cannon that's going to do 1 damage. You only feel one shot because you don't realize that he is where he is, and suddenly you're dead. I think I missed all 3 of those golden gunshots. I think in this kind of juking around, I didn't have any sense for 2 layers, or 3 layers of vertical. So you know, in this map in particular, in Twilight Gap, so there a shotgun would have been very handy. But everybody was using fusion rifles for whatever reason. Probably because the shotguns weren't so great back then. They probably had a high spread and a very quick drop off. You had to be very close for a shotgun to work. So yeah, I'm using my fusion rifle the entire time, and that's just crazy talk. I mean, a primary is a primary for a reason. I'm not an expert, you know. I'm not going to be giving you amazing advice as far as some of the other players out there can do, you know, like Triple Rack or what's his name, True Vanguard or something like that.
Enemy captured Zone B.
These guys really know what they're doing. They have, years of player versus player expertise. Destiny is not their first rodeo. I love that turn of phrase. People always think it's kind of silly. So, anyway, not their first rodeo. So, they know what they're talking about, and they actually study the mechanics of the game, and probably do some data mining as well. I don't do any of that. I'm just making observations. And so this was a pretty poor match, comparatively speaking. Like, this might have been about average for me back then in December of 2014, but not so great for me now. I'm glad to say that I've improved since then. And of course, bam! I get the only legendary reward. So we'll stick around. We'll see what I get out of that. But that's about it. You want to definitely get above 8 kills in any game. If you've got to do 10 or more, and you've got to get your KD, your kill to death ratio, above 1. And it's really not that hard. It's just learning your own personal playstyle. Mine is definitely like a medium range, like a scout rifle range, even though I wasn't using my scout rifle here. And then quick close up encounters with a shotgun, and then heavy for the times when it's needed. So there you go. Pulse rifle. 4 pulse rifles are even awesome. Talk to you soon.